So we're looking at my opponent's perspective today because I think what he did here was a little bit of an overcommit, and I want to see what you guys think about it. Now, this is Highway to Seoul, which I think is a bit of an awkward 1v1 map. It's really wide. I mean, you have all of this whole area. Admittedly, it doesn't have zones on it, but it's just very wide. And, well, my opponent pushed gently here has a Lynx 3, double Lynx H7 20mm, a Bell 206, and some SAS and a Lynx H7 that are headed over to get a sneaky little position on my land reinforcement route. And I don't hate that last idea on its own, but this is a really long map as well. So I mean, just look at the distance between the spawn in the middle of the field. It's very long. And I think this was a little bit of an overcommit without something like an air superiority fighter to keep it safe. And here's why. So I have a Tiger out. I could see a lot of this coming, although he couldn't see the Tiger because stealth helicopters are absurd. And he did just for a second spot my CV, was headed over that direction. You can see the immediate reaction here. He wants that kill, and he wants to roll up the game very quickly because, you know, with the Lynx H7 dying, he knows that there's a Tiger over here, but double CF 104. And these guys at 60 points are really, really cheap, and they're really good at killing helicopters, including that Lynx 3, and even the Recon Bell behind it just going down. And this cost me 120 points, and it cost him about 200. So there's a single Lynx H7, it will come in on this side, but think about how much that cost him in the opener as well, right? So nearly 200 points, actually more than 200, about 300 points are dead already, and that's a third of your opener gone. The rest of it has to make do without that. On my side, I think actually 0 losses so far, which is never really a good way of going about it. And I think if you're gonna go that heavy into helicopters on a map this long, you have to expect that your opponent's gonna buy something cheap, and that can shoot down your own stuff. And sometimes it's going to be a peace rhyme, which isn't as cheap. Sometimes it's going to be, you know, one of the lower end air superiority fighters. But sometimes your opponent has helicopter hunters, and maybe you're playing against Baltic. They have the 90-point ones that are just absolutely absurd, and it leaves the rest of your opener very vulnerable. So if we look here, he's bringing in some reinforcements. He's also trying to push on the ground, but you have to also do the mental calculus of, okay, if he lost that much stuff in the air and I didn't, where's my stuff on the ground? So the Vickers Mark 11 going in basically blind ahead of its own recon. There's a Milan 2 here, there's Fallschirmjäger, there's double 2A4, and yeah, taking a little bit of a beating there, but it's worth it, 45-point kill. And it's just going to go from bad to worse. So my recommendation is really just, unless you super know what you're doing with that sort of opener that my opponent here was trying, stay on the ground and, you know, deal with it later. And do maybe something small, something sneaky, just the SAS. If you lost just that, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But losing 300 points, pretty much over.